Hello Swindon panellers. Today in the kitchen we're going to be making a input board. Here's one I made earlier. You see that?
We can.
Slightly wobbly soldering, but yours will be better than mine. Unfortunately we're missing one of the components today, but I'll show you how to make all the rest. Here will be your instructions. Tools required: soldering iron, solder, solder sucker. We'll manage without solder sucker. Solder tip cleaning sponge, wire cutters, long nose pliers, and electrical components required. One blue input board. Says on it input board. Can you see? Sorry about my fingernails. Just about. Okay. Require 4 8-pin dip sockets. Yeah. Put them in my little ingredients box. 1 8-pin screw terminal. 1 2-pin screw terminal. 8 22 kilo ohm resistors. Lots of different resistors involved in all these boards, so make sure you get the right ones. 1 resistor array, which we'll be calling an orange thing.
Fuse.
1 fuse. We'll be back in a minute, we'll just get the fuse. Okay, and as if nothing had ever happened, 1 small fuse, 0.5 amp PTC fuse. Can you see?
A bit blurry.
Blurry.
Yes, we got it.
I'll splice in a photo afterwards. Okay, and there is one more component, which is a little ribbon cable plug, which unfortunately we haven't got, but we will carry on and leave that bit out for now. So in your step-by-step guide, step 1, you'll require your resistors, and it's very easy. All you have to do is bend the legs at right angles as close to the body of the resistor as you can, so that it looks like that. Can you see? Good. So we'll just do all of those. You can use needle pliers or your fingers, whatever you prefer, but the holes on the boards are the length of the body of the resistor apart, so try and get it as close to the body of the resistor as you can. There you go. 8 are required because each board can do 8 inputs. There we go. Step 1 complete. Taking your PCB, the resistors go along here where it says R1 to R8. Just pop them in, try and put them all the same way around because it looks a bit neater. And if the legs are bent as close to the body of the resistor as you can, they will sit flush on the board of the PCB. In they go. Whoops. Thrilling, isn't it?
I'm thrilled.
Thank you very much to everybody that's turned up to work week this week. Lots of panel work has been done. All our new tiles are fitted in the panel now, which is excellent. Not quite all wired up yet, but they will be eventually. Right, they're all in, can you see?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and then tipping it upside down so that all the legs point upwards, we've got to solder them all in. Where's my solder? There it is. Nice hot soldering iron with a little tip on the end. And the trick is to heat the component and the board, not just one or the other. And then a little double solder. And that's all that's required. Can you see that, or is that too close?
Stand by. We'll do a bit of zooming now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll be better at soldering than me. You've all done it before. I haven't really. The S&T tended to get annoyed if we did soldering when I was a signalman.
Depends if you're soldering on working equipment, I would imagine.
Yeah. Oh, that was a bit of a blob. Sorry about that one.
You could use your solder sucker to take
Oh, I
away the
could.
excess.
Yes, I should have a solder sucker. That's a good point. Right. As Kev told me earlier, try and heat up the board and the component, not just heat up the component to 1,000,000 degrees and then get a big blob of solder that doesn't actually stick to the board. Oops. Right, they're all soldered in. Let's have a little look. Yes. Happy with that one? Mm-hmm. Okie doke. So that's step 2. Step 3, chop the legs off the back. So I will obtain my little snips and my little waste basket. So I don't want to get little needles all over the floor. And as close as you can to the back of the PCB, chop all the legs off. Whoops. A bit faster that one. There we go. There we go. All chopped off. Right, step 3, straighten out the legs on the dip socket. So you need your 4 little sockets, and sometimes, and I don't know if you'll be able to see, not hugely wobbly on this one, but the legs do get a bit wobbly in transit. They'll be arriving with you poked into a bit of polystyrene to hopefully minimise any damage. But if they do, all you've got to do is just bend them with your needle pliers or your fingers back into shape. They all need to be the same length as well. If any of them aren't the same length, you can just kind of ease them out a little bit with your needle pliers. The other thing you'll notice is that the bases have got a little notch on one side, and the notch has to match in rotation with the notch on the PCB. So you can see it's there, top, top, bottom, bottom. So they're not all the same way up. But I'll put the notch so that it lines up with the notch on the PCB. Can you see?
I think so.
Good. Right, now I found that it's easiest to put them all in and then to very cleverly turn it upside down and put it on your little work cutting board. Whoops. And then, if you can find something to just weigh the end down with, it'll sit flat and make it a lot easier to solder. Whereas when I first did it and I only put one in, the board was rocking around all over the place. It made it very difficult to solder it while the component was flush up against the underside of the board. So that's what I've discovered is a convenient way of doing it. Although now I've lost my solder, so I'll just swap over. There we go. Whoops. Nobody said it was going to be straightforward. And then solder all the legs back into place. Here we go again. Little tiny pieces of solder. Otherwise people will go, oh, he hasn't really done that, he's just got Kev to do it.
Recording.
Oh, okay.
Danny insisted that you all saw every single bit of solder he puts into the
Well, I
board.
didn't think you'd believe me otherwise. Oh, Nellums will be going, oh, Danny's doing some work, that makes a change.
You're already doing this so that you can make other people do it, and you can tell them what to do so you don't do it yourself.
That is true. But then there are hundreds of these to do, so I don't think I want to do them all myself. I'm hoping the video is poor enough quality that you can't see the quality of my soldering.
That looks like quite a big blob.
Oh dear, is it?
No, it's just where the light's shining.
Oh, good. One day in the future, you'll press a button on the panel will go through this solder. There we go. Right, they all look okay. Let's have a quick look. Yes, they look okay. Make sure I haven't missed any. Don't look too closely. I'll wobble it so you can't quite see. There you go. You'll all be better at soldering than me, I'm sure. Okay, happy with that one?
Mm-hmm.
Right, good. Next step, install the resistor array. So here is the resistor array. Dink.
Not sure we're going to be able to see the little dots on that writing on that.
Okay, well I'll take a picture and I'll splice it in. Yep, so I don't know whether you can see it or not, but on this end of the resistor array there's a little dot. And it is important the resistor array goes in the right way round, that the pin with the dot above it goes in the hole that's square. One end is square, the other end, all the rest are round, including the other end. So the pin with the dot in it wants to go in the square hole. There we go, so that's in. I'll put in a photo afterwards so you can see the dot. Pop it back on the desk, weigh it down if necessary, and solder all the back legs in. Might do the other way around.
Being careful to make sure the resistor is stood upright. It will bend if not.
That might not be easier said than done. So, look at that. Wasn't expecting it to be upright, were you?
Very nice.
Right, and is it the right way around? Hopefully, yes, I did get it the right way around. Okay, good. You can chop the legs off on the back to make it a bit neater. They're not very long to start with, so you might not find you can chop any off, but we'll give it a little try. There we go. There we go. Keep it all nice and neat. Right, next step is to install the 8-way and 2-way terminals. So we'll do the 8-way one first. This is where the 8 cables come from the panel into the input board, and obviously one side has got screw terminals on it, the other side hasn't. Make sure the side with the screw terminals on it faces outwards from the board. So that way as you look at it, not that way. And again, I have found that if you try and solder it now like that, it won't be sitting flush on the bottom of the PCB when you have finished, as in this one that I did not make very well. Yes. So the way around that is to put the 8-way and the 2-way one in. Again, 2 little screw terminals facing outwards on the PCB, and then when you turn it upside down to solder it, it all sits nice and square. You might need to wedge something under the corner, but it's working fine for me on this. And then of course solder all the legs on the back. So we'll do that. The 2-pin one is for the power for the board, if you're wondering. Right, and there we go, It's sitting nice and flat on the PCB.
Much better than the last one.
Thank you. Got a gold star from the teacher. Right, what's next? Install the PTC fuse. What does PTC stand for?
Don't know.
Right, it doesn't matter which way around the fuse goes. Fuse is a fuse, goes in this little rectangle here with FS1 written on it, 0.5 amps. So whichever way around you prefer, poke it in. It just goes down as far as the kinks in the legs. Can you see the kinks in the legs?
We can.
You can. Okay, so just pull it down that far, and of course, solder it in. Where's the solder? There it is. And chop the legs off the back. New basket gone. Oops. There we go. Right, and the final step, which unfortunately we haven't got the component, but I'll put a picture in afterwards, is to install the ribbon cable connector. Important thing about the ribbon cable connector is that it goes on the back. So it's drawn on the back for you. It's got to go on that way, not that way. Also, the ribbon cable connector's got a little notch cut out of it, and the notch has to line up with the notch in the drawing. Again, I'll put a picture in the video so you can see. The ribbon cable connector goes there. Obviously, once it's in, solder it on that side, and you'll almost be done. I nearly forgot. One last thing is that you will have a set of serial numbers. So you need to peel off a serial number, and the serial number, and as you look at it with S1 to S8 the right way up so that you can read it, the serial number goes the same way up, so that all the serial numbers are the same way up. Whoops. And neater than I've just done, stick the sticker in. That way up, not that way up, please. And that will be, if it had the ribbon coupler in it, a completed Swindon Panel Society input board version 2.1 ready to go in the panel.